So welcome to the channel, and if you're new, I make Falcon BMS videos of missions and online missions that we do with each other, and I sometimes play DCS, but not all the time. I exclusively fly the F-16 in DCS and Falcon BMS, but mostly Falcon BMS. Here is my honest review of the Viper Throttle from Thrustmaster. I have purchased this with my own money, so Thrustmaster did not send this to me, so this is my honest review. So the quality is equal, if not better, than the Thrustmaster Warthog, for what it's worth. Just about everything is metal, except for a couple things. The throttle's metal. Some of these switches are plastic. This is metal. It's very sturdy. This is metal as well. The rotary knobs are metal. The comm switch is plastic, but it's a hard, very sturdy plastic. Of course, the throttle throw, this actual beam here, that's metal. All of that's metal. And the base of it is lighter than the Warthog, but it's still sturdy enough to not move around with normal movements as you're flying around. There are a lot of things that I like about this throttle, but there are a few things that I dislike, and I'll definitely go over that later on. So I'm going to start at the top here with the chaff and flare button. So the chaff and flare button is the slap switch. Is for basically, I use it for emergencies. If I don't know what's going on, I have a lack of SA, I usually click that. And I have a program set in BMS that specifically, I believe it's 5 chaff and 5 flares within about half a second of each other. And in DCS, you can't at the moment have your own chaff and flare setup, but you can set it up in, I think it's called DCS, DTC or something, but I have this set up in Falcon BMS. We all know by now that the idle detent, you need to do that to go into cutoff and then back up to go back up into idle. For afterburner, you go up, rotate it, and go forward. You don't need to use the paddle switch. Jettison emergency store, pretty decent button. It's plastic, but I mean it gets the point across. You gotta press it and hold it to jettison your stores. The landing gear is plastic, so it's not what I expected for it to be, but it is plastic, but it's sturdy. I think it should last a good while. All the switches are basically identical to what's on the Thrustmaster Warthog. These knobs are probably a little bit too hard to turn, but I can deal with it. But they might get looser as time goes on, but in my opinion, I think these knobs are a little bit hard to turn. These are just buttons. They're buttons, not really too much to go on that. This button here is hard to turn, but it's a larger... It has a larger surface area, so you can actually get your fingers across it and actually maneuver it back and forth. This heading right here, it could be used for anything. It's not a axis. It's actually a rotary knob that has a button for each one, as you can hear. So you can use that for your heading, you can use that for your altimeter, you can use that for whatever you want. Also, there's a indent, so you can press on it, and that's a button as well. And that's for underneath. Not many people know what that is, but that is a hobo switch, which is used for earlier blocks of the F-16 when they had night vision. So you click on that and it turns the MFDs and the HUD into a better brightness, a lower brightness that the NVGs, it won't get washed out in the NVGs. Nowadays, that is used for current blocks and blocks that have a center pedestal, a center display unit, a CDU, and that's used as a shift layer for all of your stick HOTAS of that could correspond to the CDU controls. So there are a few things that I don't like about this throttle. I don't like that it's light. It's light enough, so if you get kind of aggressive with your controls, you can actually knock it over. So I'm putting about, I don't know, maybe 5 pounds of pressure on the end. So sometimes as I'm flying, I can tip the base over just a little bit if I'm aggressively flying or want to put it in afterburner real quick. So I go to mill, put it in afterburner, and sometimes it does that little flip. So that's something that I don't really like, but I could deal with it. So you lift it up and go on afterburner, and then it's fine. I have not been able to use the chaff and flare button, but it seems like you don't have to hit it too hard. It seems like it has a good enough weight at the base so you don't flip the whole thing over. When it comes to the buttons, so all these buttons down here, I kind of wish that Thrustmaster asked us what we wanted on the base, because I don't really use these enough to have a physical representation on the base. Search, low altitude, power system, like I don't really need that. I can just click it. It's usually when you're starting up the aircraft, you click that, and you click it one time. There's no other reason to click it ever again. So it's just wasted space on the base here. What I would have liked was to have maybe some of the buttons on the threat warning prime that's right next to the RWR. So what I've mapped these as is I have the handoff switch is this switch right here. So that's the handoff switch. I have the mode switch right here to go into primary or normal. And then I have the caution and the fault acknowledgement buttons as the search and the low altitude. That's something that you use more often than the search and low altitude. I use these as programs in BMS. I have actual programs for 1, 2, and 3. 4 I don't have, but now I have an actual program switch for it, so I'll probably map 4. Mode for the countermeasures, that's all your standby through bypass. I use this as the zoom. I do not use the zoom on here for now. I have not mapped that to zoom. I will probably continue to use this right here. My RF norm quiet and silent switch, I've changed that to my XMIT for my ECM system. So forward is XMIT 1, middle is XMIT 2, and aft is XMIT 3. The stores config, I've left that alone. The laser arm and off switch, I haven't mapped that yet. This is like the 3rd day I've had this throttle, so I haven't mapped it quite yet, but I'll probably find something to map it to. This jammer on and off, that's literally on your stick. You have your CMS left, or correction, CMS right and aft for standby and operate. So I have no idea why they put a switch on the throttle base. That's a wasted space. I don't understand. So I changed that to AAR, the air refueling door, open and close. I'm not sure why they don't have an air refueling door on here, but I don't know, that's just beyond me. So as for down here, the attitude hold, the autopilot, I've kept that the same. I have the roll heading select, attitude hold, steering select, pitch hold, autopilot, and attitude hold. I have all the same. The heading, I have not mapped that to anything, but I will once I find something to map it. But at the moment, I have not mapped it to anything. So for the front here, there's a couple of simulator isms. I have mapped my Z-axis, where you actually click on the comm switch here. That is my pretty screenshot, or screenshot in Falcon BMS. So if I want to take a screenshot, I can just click that button and a screenshot will commence. I have a button here as well. Not sure what to change that to quite yet, but I'll probably find something to map that to. As for underneath, there's this hobo switch. I haven't found something to map it yet, but I'll definitely find something. But it's always good to have extra switches. You can always change it. You can always add things that you want to have easy access when it comes to HOTAS. And as for my last point, which is mostly people's point, is the price of it. So it is very expensive. I bought this because I wanted to, and I had the money for it. I upgraded from a Thrustmaster Warthog, so I didn't really need to upgrade. I just wanted to because I had the money and it looked like a cool thing. And being that I only fly the F-16, it only makes sense to get the F-16 throttle for Falcon BMS. So if you have any other question, make sure to put in the comments below, and I will try to answer all of them. And if you like what you saw today or want to see more, I have tons of missions and playlists. Make sure to subscribe and like if you want to see more of this content, and I'll see you in the next one.
Mustang targeted 24610 Metallica.
2 Fox 3 long. Bullseye 2469.
Big 21. Bullseye 34027. Angel 16.
3, you want me to turn around and cover?
Mustang defensive.
2 defensive.
2, you need to flow west hard.
It's flash between 1.